Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming OCS exams happening in November 2024. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. So first things first, I will be sharing general feedback with you based on your mock attempts. One of the students have completed up until mock number 4. So keep up the good work, and I went through your the answer scripts of the other students who had completed up until mocks 2 or 3, and based on my findings I will be sharing general feedback, and then I will be moving on to discuss the mock exam which is focused on your F1 syllabus, and I will be opening up for a Q&A. So reminding you of the upcoming workshops which we have scheduled for you. So next Sunday, we are conducting the workshop which is dedicated towards P1, where just like in this workshop, I will be taking you through one of the mock exams to do with your P1 syllabus. And again, I will be opening up for Q&A in the same workshop. And the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing last minute tips with you. And looking at the general feedback, so as I highlighted in previous week's workshop, I understood that you are still deflecting from the requirement, especially those who had only completed up until 2 or 3 mock exams. So there are 6 mocks in total which you're supposed to attempt. And most students have completed up until mock number 2. So still, I feel that in certain questions, you have deflected from the requirement or you have not understood the requirement clearly. So, with practice, you are in a position to overcome this issue. So as I highlighted in the third webinar answering technique, before you start developing your answer plan, you are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a simpler form so that it makes your life easy to understand what the requirement is all about. And on top of that, whilst developing the answer plan, you can always refer back to the simplified requirement and see whether you are headed in the correct direction. So if you tend to deflect from the requirement, then before you develop the answer plan, always make sure to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a simpler or concise form. And again, I understood that there are issues with theoretical knowledge and issues with application. This is quite normal because you are still trying to get your grips with the answering and time management technique. And as per our study plan, we expect you to attempt each mock exam without referring to any of the suggested answers, the answer plans, or the master classes. So the objective of you having to attempt a mock exam without referring to the answers is to make sure that you understand what your shortcomings are, because if you understand your shortcomings, you can work towards overcoming them when conducting your preparations in the upcoming weeks. So with that in mind, keep attempting mocks and try to come up with your best type of answers. And once you have attempted the mock exam, you need not worry, because you can easily learn theory and improve application skills by watching the master classes. And once you have watched the master classes, as per our study plan, you are supposed to test your knowledge by conducting your revision focused on the mock exam which you attempted. So after you have learned theory and application via the master classes, you are supposed to test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans on your own. That's where you are implementing your knowledge to see whether you are capable of bringing theoretical elements when developing answers, and at the same time you are capable of working on your application skills. And number of points was an issue yet again. So as per what I highlighted in the third webinar, before you determine how many points should appear under each answer plan, you are supposed to look at the mark allocations which appear under each subtask, because these mark allocations can easily be determined based on the weightages provided. So I highlighted all these things in depth in the third webinar. So if you missed out on the webinar, please go watch the recorded version, which can be accessed via our student dashboard via our website. So what you need to do is, under each subtask, you would see weightage being provided or a percentage being provided, which gives us a clear indication of mark allocations. And once you can determine the mark allocations based on the weightages, you are in a position to easily stipulate or determine how many points should appear within your answer plan. So each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks, and based on it, you can easily determine how much points, how many points should appear within your answer. So by doing so, you are making sure to come up with an answer which is totally aligned with mark allocations, and your answer will not be too short or too long. So keep, practicing your answering technique, because by the time you are done with all 6 mock exams, you will gain an in-depth understanding of how to get these things done, because you need to keep practicing these techniques. Just because you know these techniques, you are not in a position to implement them firsthand. Instead, you need to keep practicing them. And there were issues were pertinent to expanding the answer plan as well. So I felt that most students, especially towards task number 4 or the last task after attempting their mock exams, probably they were exposed to extreme levels of fatigue. So because of that, in most answer scripts, I saw that in task number 4, only the answer plan was there. You have not expanded the answer plan, because I highlighted the fact that you are supposed to expand the answer plan in paragraph form when finalizing your answer, or in other terms, when developing your final answer. So when doing so, let's assume that there are 7 valid points within your answer plan. Then focused on each point, you need to come up with a paragraph. So in your fully fledged answer or your final answer, you need to have 7 paragraphs. So all these things were taught to you in depth in webinar number 3. So if you missed out on it, please go watch the recorded version. And time management, some students had faced time management issues, which is quite normal, because as I mentioned in the 3rd webinar, you need to get your grips with the answering and time management technique. As per our answering and time management technique, you are supposed to allocate 5 minutes to read through the scenario. Then you are supposed to allocate 15 to 20 minutes to develop the answer plan, focused on all subtasks which appear within a section. And once you have come up with an answer plan or an answer structure, the remaining time, which is 20 minutes, should be allocated towards expanding your answer plan in paragraph form. So although I'm asking you to develop an answer plan within 20 minutes, when you're trying to implement these techniques for the first time, you will definitely run out of time. So that's quite normal. So the objective of attempting mock exams is to understand your shortcomings, and at the same time to improve your answering and time management techniques. So keep practicing these techniques over and over across the 6 mock exams, because if you do so, it's as if you are repeating the same techniques 24 times over before you walk into the exam. That's enough and more practice for you to get all these elements right at your real examination. So keep fighting, stick to our study plan, and keep revising after attempting each mock exam. Focus your revision based on the mock which you attempted. And on top of that, make sure to implement answering and time management, as well as stress management techniques, which we taught in webinars 3 and 4. So if you missed out on any of our webinars which were conducted in the previous weeks, please go watch the recorded version, which can be accessed via our student dashboard. All right, so having said that, before we move on to the mock exam discussion, let me quickly mention what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the OCS page. If you're yet to check our free content, click on this button and create a free user account. Once you have created a user account, you'd gain access to the student dashboard. Go to my courses. In front of OCS free, you'd see an access content button. Once you click on it, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops which we conduct. Then you'd also gain access to the pre-seen mind map and the answer plan of the free mock exam. And you'd also gain access to the free mock exam, its question and the answers via the student dashboard itself. And under the exams tab, by clicking on this button, you have the opportunity of attempting our free mock exam, or mock number 1, under exam conditions via our exam platform, so that it makes your life easy when it comes to handling exam stress at your real examination. Because when you are attempting mock exams under exam conditions, you'd be exposed to exam stress. It's best that you're exposed to exam stress when conducting your preparations rather than at your real exam. And you also have the opportunity to master your answering and time management techniques. So if you're yet to check out our free content, please click on this button and create a free user account. And if you're interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check out the samples of study material which we offer at TCS. And if you're yet to join the OCS WhatsApp group, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you can engage in group learning, and at the same time, we are sharing a plethora of free resources with you. And if you have any questions, I'm always there to help you guys out. And talking about what we offer two main packages, the value pack and the premium pack. The value pack is designed for those who had completed their OTQs. So since you have completed your E1, F1, and P1 OTQ examinations, you are totally conversant with theory. You simply need to work on your application skills. So under the value pack, you'd get access to the recorded versions of all webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. Why 6 mock exams? Because it takes 6 mocks to cover the entire syllabus. If you had looked at past exam variants or past papers, you would have encountered you would have understood rather that there are 6 variants focused on each pre-seen document. So replicating the same methodology, we have come up with 6 different examinations to make sure that we cover the entire syllabus, so that you are not testing to make sure that you're not testing your luck at your real examination. And you'd also gain access to pre-seen analysis videos, 3 videos in total. Once you have watched these 3 pre-seen analysis videos, you need not do anything else to gain an understanding of what appears within your pre-seen. You'd also gain access to the annotated pre-seen, the industry and financial analysis slides. So this is what a typical annotated pre-seen will look like. So this is an annotated pre-seen which was prepared for a previous case study. As you can see, we have come up with annotations, and via these annotations, we have come up with a good summary which makes your life easy when it comes to decrypting pre-seen information. And based on the hints provided by the CIMA examiner, we have highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam. And we have also highlighted probable syllabus elements which can be tested based on the scenarios which are presented within your pre-seen document. So likewise, throughout this document, you can see that we have come up with summaries. Then we have highlighted probable exam scenarios as well as probable syllabus elements which can be tested at your examination. And on top of that, taking you through the financial analysis slides. At the very end of your pre-seen document, you would have seen the financial statements of your chosen company. We have evaluated each financial statement in depth, yet keeping things simple so that you can easily understand what appears within each financial statement. So that's exactly what you can see throughout the set of slides. And we have also conducted a ratio analysis. Again, we have evaluated each ratio in depth to make sure that you get your grips with the finances of your chosen company. And the same could be said about the industry analysis slides. There are 4. These set of slides are divided into 4 main elements. In the first part, we have defined the industry. And in the second and third parts, we have highlighted the competitive landscape and industry trends, because based on these information, scenarios can be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, we have provided examples considering 2 real-life companies to make sure that you gain a better understanding of how real-life companies work in your industry. So that's the type of these are the type of resources you'd receive under the value pack. And on top of that, you'd also gain access to top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable syllabus elements which can be tested at your real examination. You'd also gain access to a tutor managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So once you have under the value pack, since you are supposed to attempt mock exams on your own, let's assume that we are done attempting a single mock exam. Once you're done with it, if you struggled with a certain question, or if you struggled with a certain syllabus element, simply refer to our OTQ revision cards. In a jiffy, you are in a position to brush up your knowledge concerning the theoretical element covered within our mocks. So you need not spend time to go back to your own study notes or refer back to your own study notes, or you need not go through your study texts and whatnot. Simply refer to our OTQ revision cards. So the value pack is priced at £199. Then directing your attention towards the premium pack. The premium pack is designed for those who are coming through the exemption route and those who had failed the OCS exam previously. Both these type of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge as well as issues with application. So with the intention of teaching you theory and making sure that you significantly improve your application skills, we have come up with some additional resources on top of what appears under the value pack. So under the premium package, on top of what you'd gain access under the value pack, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which provides you the opportunity to master your answering and time management technique. And we have developed an developed a mock exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you are expected to attempt your real examination. So it's best that you get conversant with the technicalities behind the exam platform, and at the same time master your answering and time management when you attempt each mock exam under exam conditions via our exam platform. And you'd also receive one-on-one tutor feedback on the last 3 mock exams. Let me quickly show you the type of feedback you'd receive at TCS. As you can see, we have provided in-depth feedback focused on each and every point highlighted within this answer script. And if you opt for the premium package, this is the type of feedback you'd receive as well. And the objective of developing or providing this type of feedback is to make sure that you gain an in-depth understanding of your shortcomings, because when conducting your preparations, your objective should be to understand your shortcomings. And if you understand your shortcomings, you stand a chance of getting rid of these shortcomings when conducting your preparations. If so, you would be extremely successful at your real examination. So that's the type of feedback we offer. And at the very end, we provide mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. We have also come up with a success rate, and the yellow highlighted elements indicate the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So after receiving tutor feedback, I said that you are supposed to conduct revision focused on the mock exam, thereby redeveloping answer plans. So when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, solely focus on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. And redevelop answer plans focused on these subtasks with the intention of overcoming your issues. Because after you have redeveloped answer plans focused on these highlighted areas or highlighted subtasks, then you can always compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans which we provide at TCS to further enhance the quality of your answer and your answer structuring skills. And at the very end, we provide general comments as well. So that's the type of feedback which we offer under the premium pack. You'd also gain access to answer plans of all 6 mock exams. So you're not only getting your hands on the mock exams and the suggested answers, we have gone a step further and we have come up with answer plans. In a little while, you will see what a typical answer plan looks like, because based on the answer plan which we have developed for the free mock exam, I'm going to conduct today's mock exam discussion, where I'm going to take you through a question which has everything to do with your F1 syllabus. So once you gain access to these answer plans, you can easily understand the logic behind each answer. You can easily understand how to bring in theoretical knowledge when developing your answers, how to work on your application skills, and as and when necessary, what type of information should be brought in from the pre-scene when developing your answers. And you'd also gain access to 20 masterclasses under the premium package. So focused on the paid mock exams, which are mocks 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So focused on the 5 paid mock exams, we have developed masterclasses. So in each mock exam, just like in your real examination, there are 4 tasks. So 4 tasks into 5 mocks come out to 20 tasks in total. So focused on each task covered within our mock exams, we have developed masterclasses. And the objective of developing these masterclasses is to teach you the logic behind each answer, and at the same time, teach you the relevant theoretical concept which is covered within the mock exam, and at the same time, teach you how to work on your application skills. So if you are coming through an exemption route, or if you had failed the OCS exam previously, you need to improve your knowledge, theoretical knowledge, as well as application skills. So this is the best way to learn theory and improve application in a jiffy, by gaining access to these masterclasses, which are totally aligned with the mocks which we have developed. And once you have gained access to all these material, you can pass for sure, hence the pass guarantee. So if you invest on the premium pack and end up failing, you will gain access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to complete these 3 requirements. You have to complete all 6 mock exams. If not, you will be testing your luck at your real examination. So with the intention of ensuring that you are conversant with how each syllabus element is tested at your exam, you have to complete all 6 mock exams. And when completing these mocks, you are not supposed to go through the answers. It could be the suggested answers, answer plans, or the master classes. You are not supposed to go through any of the answers. Instead, do it on your own, because as I mentioned earlier, when attempting mock exams, your sole objective should be to understand your shortcomings. So if there's a question about linear programming, and if you struggle with such a question, you will remember that you actually struggled with this question, and you will pull your socks up when conducting revision you'd try to nail the answer, especially given the fact that you can remember that you screwed up the question to do with linear programming. So likewise, in order to understand your shortcomings, attempt each mock exam without referring to any answers. And you have to meet the performance criteria of 40% or higher, focused on the last 3 mock exams. We have come up with this performance criteria to make sure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mocks, especially given the fact that you are receiving tutor feedback. And once you have completed these 3 requirements, there's absolutely no way you'd fail the OCS exam. That's why we provide a pass guarantee under the premium package. So the premium package is priced at £699, which can be paid in 2 installments of £349 each, or you can opt to pay in full and save £100. If so, the price is just going to be £599. So you can click on either of these buttons and invest on your preferred package. And remember that all products are available until the 28th of February 2025. So if you're planning on sitting for your OCS exam in Feb, you can start preparations right now by investing on your preferred package. So if you're already sticking to our OCS study plan, which can be accessed via our website itself, I hope you'd continue to do so. So as per our study plan, we are in week number 6. Within this week, you are supposed to attempt mock number 4 via the exam platform. And once you have attempted mock number 4, you are supposed to watch the 4 master classes to learn theory and improve application. And once you have learned theory and application, test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans. That's the best type of revision you can carry out, focused on the mock exam which you have attempted. Then refer to the personalized tutor feedback, which we'd provide focused on mock number 4. Once you have referred to the tutor feedback, you'd understand the subtasks in which you have not done a good job, and focused on these subtasks, again, redevelop answer plans. And once you have redeveloped the answer plans, compare your answer plans to TCS's answer plans to further understand how to improve the quality of your answers. So if you're sticking to our original 8-week study plan, you are supposed to attempt mock number 4 within this week, thereby just allocating 9 hours of study time. However, if you started last week, because most students are sticking to our 3-week study plan, which was shared in last week's workshop. So if you're sticking to the 3-week study plan, by now, you should be done with at least 2 mock exams. Okay, so stick to all these things. I will reshare the 3-week study plan with you after this workshop. You are a week late. However, if you commit yourself and pull your socks up and start working, you can still complete all 6 mock exams and conduct your revision focused on these 6 mocks before you walk into your examination. All right, so that's what we offer at TCS. Having said that, let's move on to the mock exam discussion. So I'm going to take you through one of the questions covered within our free mock exam, which can be accessed via our student dashboard, as I mentioned earlier. And I will be conducting my evaluation based on the answer plan which we have developed for the free mock exam. All right, so let's look at the question. I'm going to take you through task number 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So I'm going to direct your attention towards section number 2. And I'm not going to take you through section number 2 in its entirety due to time constraints. Instead, I'm solely going to focus your attention towards subtask A, or the first part of section number 1, section number 2 rather. So the time allocation is 45 minutes. You receive the following email from the finance manager. The subject goes as PPE, property, plant and equipment, and key performance indicators, or KPIs. I require your assistance with a few matters that need urgent attention. Last month, the board decided to purchase eco-friendly industrial sewing machines with the aim of reducing our carbon footprint, thereby replacing the industrial sewing machines which are currently in use. So we are contemplating about replacing our industrial sewing machines. The acquisitions are currently underway. I have prepared a list of expenses that we incurred in the acquisition of these new machines. However, I am unsure if all these expenses should be capitalized. So the board members, or rather your finance manager, is not too sure of which expenses are supposed to be capitalized and which expenses therefore should appear under property, plant and equipment tied to this acquisition of new industrial machines. So Therefore, let's look at the requirement. Therefore, could you please give me a brief explanation about the criteria for capitalization of expenditure and the treatment of each of these expenses in the financial statements? So you have to highlight the criteria for capitalization. That's the first part of your question. And the second part is to highlight how to treat these expenses within our financial statements. Please refer to the information which I've attached within this email. See table 1 in preparing your response. So let's try to gain an understanding of what type of information is provided under table number 1. So the table number 1 depicts costs related to the purchase of eco-friendly industrial sewing machines. So what type of costs are we exposed to? So there's an indication about the purchase cost, including VAT, which comes up to $2.5 million. Then we need to spend on building work to modify the operations bay. If not, we do not stand a chance to utilize these machines without modifying the operations bay. For that, we are supposed to spend $700,000, and we have to carry out maintenance and service them regularly, for which we are going to spend $80,000. And there's a crew training cost which amounts to $120,000. So let's try to figure out what this cost is all about. The employees in the production department need to attend a training session to be able to operate these new machines. So for this training session, we are spending $120,000. Then there are essential modification costs as well. Some of the machines that were purchased require certain modifications that has to be installed additionally. So we have to, before we use these machines, we have to spend some money to modify them, which costs us $400,000. And there's an interest component which comes up to $74,000. The machines were purchased using debt finance at an interest of 5% per annum. So we have opted for a loan when funding these investments, and tied to it, we have to pay loan interests amounting to 5% per annum. That's what this interest cost is all about, which comes up to $74,000. So yeah, table 2 gives us an indication of some other machine or some other equipment which we are intending to replace. I'm not going to take you through that question. Instead, I'm going to solely direct your attention towards subtask A. All right. So in a nutshell, we are trying to replace our industrial sewing machines, and tied to these replacements, there are certain costs which appear as part of the reference material, and based on it, you are supposed to address two main elements which are highlighted within your question. So before you develop the answer plan, as per what was highlighted in webinar number 3, I said that with the intention of gaining a clear understanding of the requirement, and with the intention of ensuring that whilst developing the answer plan, you can see whether you are headed in the correct direction, you are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise form. So as you can see, this is an extremely long requirement. So when you are under exam stress, if you try to read through 2 or 3 sentences, which comes as a requirement, and if you try to understand what the requirement is, there's a tendency for you to panic. And when you are panicking, or when you are under extreme levels of stress, you might miss out on some information which appears within the requirement, or you might misunderstand the requirement. So with the intention of ensuring that you gain a good understanding of the requirement and you understand the exact requirement clearly, you are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise manner. That's exactly what you can see here. Capitalization of expenses and how it impacts our financial statement. So simply, although this requirement goes on for 2.5 goes on for 2.5 lines, it's actually quite simple. You have to explain how to capitalize these expenses and how these expenses will impact our financial statements. So as I mentioned in the 3rd webinar, before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to stipulate how much marks are allocated for this subtask, because based on these mark allocations, you can easily determine how many points should appear within your answer. So the weightage provided is 40%. So 40% in total, 37.5 marks are allocated for each task or each section. So 40% of 37.5 marks come up to 15 marks in total. So in order to score 15 marks, since each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks, you need to have 5 to 7 valid points within your answer. So tied to this number of points in your final answer, you need to have 5 to 7 paragraphs. Okay, so let's try to figure out how to structure your answer. So I'm going to take you through the answer plan, which is relevant for section 2 subtask A. So as per what I highlighted in the third webinar answering technique, you are supposed to start your answer by coming up with an appropriate heading, which should be in bold and underline format. So that's exactly what you can see here. Capitalization of expenditure on new eco-friendly machines, which is in bold and underline format. Then let's start structuring the answer. So whenever you are thinking about capitalization or capitalizing a certain expenditure tied to an asset, then IAS 16 property, plant and equipment should be utilized. So for mentioning this IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, you get a single mark. Okay, so make sure to mention the relevant accounting standards name as well as the number. So IAS 16 property, plant and equipment should be considered. So as per IAS 16 PPE, to capitalize a certain expenditure, an asset must have been created. So we must create an asset in order to stand a chance to capitalize expenditure. So we have to spend money focused on creating an asset. If so, this money which we spent on creating this asset can be capitalized within our financial statements. So what is a capitalization all about? It's a situation where we can send these expenses to the SOFP or the statement of financial position under non-current assets or long-term assets, or assets which can be used for more than one accounting period, or assets which can be used for more than 12 months. So if we are spending some money to create an asset, such expenses can be capitalized as per IAS 16. So first things first, we have to see whether an asset was created by us spending some money. So as per the information presented in here, we are exposed to a lot of expenses tied to this purchase of industrial sewing machines. So we need to see whether we can consider these industrial sewing machines to be assets. If so, some of these costs can be capitalized. Okay, so first things first, let's try to understand whether we are spending money on creating an asset. So as per IAS 16, for us to create an asset, or an asset is created if we are probable that the expenditure results in future economic benefit. So if we are spending some money on a certain asset, and due to us spending that money, if we are probable about gaining future economic benefit for more than one accounting year or for more than 12 months, if we are in a position to gain some type of economic benefit in the future, then we can easily say that we have created an asset. The new machine, as per the provided information, will definitely generate future profits for us, because we need sewing machines to sew different parts which make our backpacks, which make up our backpacks. So new machines will definitely generate future profits, because without these industrial sewing machines, we are not in a position to assemble all the different parts which makes up a single backpack. And on top of that, as per IAS 16, an asset is created if expenditure can be reliably measured. So if we can reliably measure the expenditure and easily stipulate how much we are supposed to spend to create this asset, then such expenses can be considered as expenditure spent to create an asset. So as per what's highlighted in here, all the expenses are in H dollar terms, or all the expenditure is cash related, which indicates that we can reliably measure how much we are going to spend to acquire these assets. So as per IAS 16, an asset should be created. If we create an asset, we can capitalize the expenditure which we spent to create this asset. So first things first, we need to understand whether we have created an asset or whether we are acquiring an asset. So in order to understand whether we are creating or acquiring an asset, we have to make sure that we are exposed to probable future economic benefit. And on top of that, we have to make sure that the expenditure can be reliably measured. So it appears that we have fulfilled both these elements. So because of that, we have to consider these expenses made on eco-friendly industrial sewing machines, or now we have to consider these industrial sewing machines as assets of our company. And again, as per IAS 16, assets should be held for the supply of goods and services. Yes, we are using these assets to manufacture backpacks which can be sold to generate future economic benefit. And on top of that, assets should be held for more than one accounting period, as I mentioned earlier. So we can consider something to be an asset if we can use it for more than one accounting period or for more than 12 months, which is going to be the case because these industrial sewing machines will keep using them for a long period of time, which usually exceeds one accounting period. So considering all these elements, we have created an asset, and these assets are held for the supply of goods and services. Yes, and the assets should be held for more than one accounting period. We have met that as well. So because of that, we can clearly say that the money which we spend on creating these assets, or in other terms, the money which we spend to acquire these assets, can be capitalized. So that's the first part. Then moving on to the second part of your question. So now we have understood whether we can capitalize this expenditure or not. So that's your first requirement. So the requirement was to understand whether we can capitalize the expenses. And I've clearly mentioned, as per IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, we can capitalize the expenses. Now let's move on to the second part. Let's try to understand how these different types of costs or expenditure will affect our financial statements. So let's move on to the second part of the answer plan. Yes, so for the second part, I've come up with a subheading which is in bold format, which goes as treatment of items in the schedule. So well, first things first, before we think about how to treat these different cost elements, we have to think about the method of capitalization as per IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. So when we capitalize certain expenses, we need to consider the purchase price, including import duties. And on top of that, we have to also consider directly attributable costs incurred to get the asset ready for its intended use as part of the value of the asset. So you are supposed to use the same phrasing when developing your answer, because this is exactly how it appears within IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. So when you are trying to capitalize an asset, or when you are trying to determine the value of an asset, you are supposed to consider the purchase price, including import duties, because not just the purchase price should be considered. Import duties will result in expenses for us, and these expenses are tied to us acquiring this asset. So because of that, if import duties are available, then or applicable, then such import duties should be considered as part and parcel of the value of the asset. Then on top of that, we can also capitalize directly attributable costs incurred to get the asset ready for its intended use. So if we are spending some money to update the asset which we have acquired, or if we are spending some money to make sure that we are ready to use the asset, or the asset is ready to expose us to future economic benefit, then such costs can be included as the value of our asset. Because when determining the value of the asset, we are thinking of how much we should appear within our SOFP as per these asset values. So when trying to value these assets, we have to consider the purchase price, the import duties, and directly attributable costs incurred to get the asset ready for its intended use. So let's work on application now. So what type of costs can be capitalized, and what type of costs should be considered as part of the value of this asset? So the purchase price inclusive of VAT should be considered as part of the value of the asset, because BackOffice is not VAT registered. There's no indication within the pre-scene which gives us an indication that we are VAT registered. So it's safe to assume that we are not registered for VAT. So if we are not registered for VAT, the purchase price should be inclusive of VAT. So we can capitalize the purchase price of $2.5 million. And the second part item is building work required to modify the operations bay. So how should we look at it? So building work carried out to modify the operations bay falls under directly attributable costs, because without modifying our operations bay, we do not stand a chance to gain the full value of this asset which we have just acquired. So the building costs of modifying the operations bay should be considered as directly attributable costs which were spent to get the asset ready for its intended use. Because as I mentioned earlier, without modifying the operations bay, we do not stand a chance to make full use of these assets. And on top of that, we have to spend some money, spend some money rather, to modify these assets. Some of the machines that were purchased required certain modification that had to be installed additionally. So these additional modification costs will improve the quality of the asset, improve the value of the asset. So because of that, this $400,000 should be considered under directly attributable costs as well, because these modification costs were spent to get the asset ready for its intended use. So these are the type of costs which can be capitalized. Then let's try to understand the type of costs which cannot be capitalized, because the costs which we cannot capitalize should be expensed or should be considered as an expense for us. So if you are capitalizing a certain expenditure, then such expenditure will appear as part of the value of the asset, and asset values will appear within your statement of financial position under non-current assets. However, if you cannot capitalize a certain expenditure, then this expenditure remains as an expense for us, and such expenses should appear under our statement of profit and loss, or the SOPL. So first things first, I want to direct your attention towards training costs. Let's look at what training costs are all about. We are supposed to spend $120,000, which is tied to training. The employees in the production department need to attend a training session to be able to operate these new machines. So this is a training session which is carried out focused on our operations employees. So this is a cost which is not directly attributable towards the asset. Instead, we are spending money to train our employees. So this has nothing to do with the asset. We are not spending money to make sure that the asset value increases. This cannot be considered as a directly attributable cost, which is spent to get the asset ready for its intended use. We are not trying to get the asset ready for its intended use by spending on training. We are trying to get our employees ready to operate these machines. So these type of costs are not considered as directly attributable. Instead, these are considered as revenue expenditure, because we have to spend this money. And let's assume someone might argue the fact that training is an investment. However, what if these employees who received training, right after receiving training, what if they leave our organization? If they leave our organization, we are not gaining any benefit from the money which we spent on training. So that's exactly why we cannot capitalize training costs. Instead, they should be considered as revenue expenditure, and revenue expenditure should always be charged to the statement of profit and loss. And there's an indication about ongoing maintenance as well, which comes up to $80,000. So we cannot consider these to be directly attributable cost as well, because ongoing maintenance is carried out to make sure that the asset functions without any hiccups. Instead, we are not spending maintenance related costs to get the asset ready for its intended use. So it's just a matter of because maintenance comes after we start using the asset, and once we keep using the asset, we have to maintain it. That's quite normal. So maintenance costs are not spent to get the asset ready for its intended use. Maintenance costs are not spent to improve the value of the asset or to modify the asset. Instead, in order to keep using the asset on a continuous basis, we have to spend money on maintenance. So such expenditure again is considered as revenue expenditure, because if we are to generate revenues by using our assets, it's of utmost importance that we regularly maintain our assets. So such revenue expenditure should be charged to our statement of profit and loss. And there's an interest component which comes up to $74,000. The machines were purchased using debt finance at an interest of 5% per annum. So these interest costs has nothing to do with us getting the asset ready for its intended use. Instead, these are finance charges tied to the debt finance which we have opted for when purchasing these assets. So such interest costs, which should appear under the SOPL under the category of finance charges, because of that, interest costs should be sent to the SOPL and should appear under finance costs. So that's how we are supposed to address this type of a question. So I hope you gained a good understanding of how to tackle a question to do with IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, especially focused on capitalization expenditure and how we are supposed to capitalize different types of costs, what type of methodology we need to adhere to. And after doing so, you are supposed to highlight how these different costs will impact our financial statements. So if we are supposed to capitalize a certain expenditure, then it will denote, once we have capitalized all the relevant expenditure, we are in a position to understand the value of the asset, and the asset value should appear within our statement of financial position under non-current assets under property, plant and equipment. And if we cannot capitalize a certain expenditure, it should be written off to the SOPL. So any type of revenue expenditure should definitely go to the SOPL, and interest charges or interest costs should go to the SOPL once more and should be categorized under finance costs. All right. So having said that, I'm happy to say that we achieved a pass rate of 96% in the previous sitting. And most of our students who stuck to the study plan ended up gaining more than 100 marks when the pass mark was just 80. That's exactly what Luca achieved last time. This individual got 105 marks for OCS simply by sticking to our study plan and attempting the 6 mocks and conducting the revision focused on each mock exam. So you can achieve a similar feat if you stick to our study plan and utilize our resources. So having said that, moving on to the Q&A. Let me pause the recording. All right, folks. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Simply visit our website and click on the contact button and drop your message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you within office hours. Then you can email us at info@study@tcs.com or simply WhatsApp us on this number. So if you still have questions and if you are feeling shy to raise these questions within this workshop, simply drop me a message. I'm always ready to help you out. And I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because via YouTube, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which we have conducted so far. And on top of that, you'd also gain access to the TikTok videos because we have developed a set of videos, which is a good mind map of your entire pre-scene. So on your way to office, on a continuous basis until the day of your exam, keep watching these TikTok videos to refresh your knowledge about what appears within your pre-scene. And if you're yet to read the blog post, visit our website, click on this button and read the blog post which we have prepared focused on BackOffice. Having said that, it brings us to the end of the second workshop. I hope you gained something out of this session, and I invite you guys to attend next week's workshop as well, where I'm going to take you through a question which is to do with your P1 syllabus. And on top of that, I urge you to stick to the study plan. If you're sticking to the original 8-week study plan, please keep up the good work. Or if you're sticking to the 3-week study plan, things will be a bit stressful, yet keep fighting. And if you're yet to start, it's high time you start, because I forgot to tell you, actually, your exam booking window, the expiry, it expires on Tuesday. So if you're intending to sit for OCS exams happening in November 2024, you have to book your place before Tuesday. So do it. And after you have booked your place, start attempting mocks as much as possible and conduct your revision by redeveloping answer plans, because success depends on your answering technique or the quality of your answers. So focus on redeveloping your answer plans as much as possible to ensure a pass at your upcoming OCS exam. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.